wants on the furniture.
No, one guy asked how many filing cabinets I have, and originally I told him 3, and then I looked and I'm like, oh, I have 2 I didn't post. So I said, no, actually I have 5, and then he just never responded. So I'm like, thanks, guy. Got me all excited. Thought I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
that would have been a huge haul, but
yeah. What if that furniture company? Maybe it's got a company that buys all this stuff or
I,
knows
I
how to sell this better.
I'll look at that like next month. Like I feel like
Yeah,
they're gonna like really lowball, so that's like a last resort thing.
fair point.
Um,
Feel free to lowball it all, like whatever you
yeah.
want to, whatever you want to do.
I feel like we should have started this like months ago because like it'll sell. It's just big stuff like that takes time.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway,
all right. So let's talk about the Knicks.
let's talk about the Knicks.
Here we go.
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back, back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 605. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
Good. We had 3 games since last show: the Brooklyn game, the Miami game, and the Boston game, which consisted of, holy crap, we beat the living snot out of Brooklyn, and we're like, oh, this will be great next show, and we can just talk about it. Beating the crap out of Brooklyn. It was so much fun. I'm sure there'll be no game this week that tops that. The Miami game, last second shot by Randall. Oh my God, this is the greatest. Well, nothing will top this. Celtics, double overtime. IQ goes buck wild. It's been quite a week, Jay.
It's been quite a week. 3 amazing games. Yeah, you're right. I would like. Well, we blew out the Nets. Even if we lose the next 2, that's it. I always like beating up on the Nets. But,
Yeah, I mean, the Nets wasn't like an exciting. I went to that game. It was just fun to watch the Knicks beat the crap out of the Nets. It's always fun to beat up the Nets, and I know the Nets have a really tough defense. They've said, I think what was it? Nets Daily said that was like we're putting people in prison for how strong our defense is, and so they held the Knicks to 142 points, which is I can't imagine how many points they would have scored. The Nets didn't play good defense.
I mean, Nets fans were posting pictures of jails the whole week after. I know they were trying to just cope with the fact that their team just got completely gutted. But they were like, this is going to be one of the best defensive teams we've ever seen. Yeah, 144 points.
They have a bunch of guys that are supposed to be able to play defense. Please don't have Nick Claxton part of like the final 3 in the defensive player of the year.
It's not even that the Knicks was an aberration. Their opponents have been averaging over 130 points a game
Against the Nets?
Since the trade. Yeah, against the Nets.
Yeah, you think with Bridges, Cam Johnson, like you think Finney Smith, you think they'd have like they can at least like grind it out with teams.
Well, I'm glad they stink. Anyway, yeah, that was just a buzzer to buzzer ass whooping. They were up by Knicks were up by about 20 the whole time. The Heat, the Heat. They were without Lowry at this point. I don't know if that's.
Oh, and I wanted to mention also, and Brunson leading up to the Nets game had 2 like mediocre showings as far as shooting. Like he played fine, but like he was kind of off 2 nights in a row or 2 games in a row, and you were like, not that you doubted Brunson, but he against the Nets he went 15 for 18 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3. I thought he was going to get 40. I thought the Knicks were trying to like leave him out there near the end of the game to get his 40th, but they didn't actually seem to care about getting him his 40th, which is kind of cool when you're out there. You're not interested in stat padding. But the Knicks just
Giannis.
What did Giannis do? Oh, he did that rebound, right?
Yeah, so they were up by like 6, and the other team wasn't even defending him, and he just slowly walks up to the rim and throws it against the backboard to get a rebound to give himself a triple-double.
I saw they took that away from him, right?
So technically, I guess the rules are you have to shoot with intent to score for the rebound to count. and so they threw the rule book at him and took away the rebound, saying he had no intent to score on that shot.
I mean, I saw the video of that. Like, that was absurd to be a rebound.
Kind of fitting after Perkins accuses Jokic of stat padding, and then Giannis does that like the very next day.
Yeah. I don't really understand the idea of Jokic stat padding either, but I'm not a huge fan of Perkins, so whatever.
So that Brunson game was he had 30 at the half, one of his best games of the season. No stat padding.
Also, that game was also Grimes had a huge game, went 8 for 12 with 22 points. He was finally hitting threes, and he was doing what you want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was at the game, so I wasn't watching the box score. And Julius Randle, I felt like came out in the second half of that game and was just kind of like, we're on the Globetrotter. He was just kind of being a little funky with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Not seemed like he was not that he was throwing the game or anything like that. It just seemed like he was being a little bit loosey-goosey.
He didn't have the intensity. I think they got a little cocky. They were up by so much, and
yeah, they were crushing Brooklyn. So
it was a tie. The second half was basically a tie score, but they were up by like 20 something. So didn't.
Yeah,
really
I saw the box score at the end of the game, and I was like, oh, Randall was 7 for 15, 4 for 8 from 3. Oh, and he had 8 rebounds, 8 assists. I didn't realize how good of a game Randall actually had. I mean, realistically, those are solid stats. He had a really good game. But because he was so not nonchalant in the second half, I thought he had a worse game than I was like, oh, well, Randall was off tonight. I was like, oh, okay, he was kind of fine, actually.
Randall's the kind of guy where you could watch the game and be like, oh, Randall wasn't very good tonight. And then you look and he had like 22 and 8.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Like,
but Barrett played well. Like everyone, I mean, they beat the crap out of Brooklyn. Everyone played well. It was nice. It was a nice off night, basically.
Yeah.
Then the grind started against Miami.
Yeah, Miami always plays the Knicks tough. It's just these teams. If you would say what team the Knicks have a rivalry with, like the most out of any team, it's got to be Miami, right?
You mean like now, or do you mean historically?
Historically. Now I don't think they really have any rivalries, but historically, I'd say it's Miami.
I guess. The Knicks, because the Knicks have not been a contender for so long, it's like we call something a rivalry when the other team's like, nah, it's just a regular season game against a team that we don't care as much about.
Yeah.
For a half a second, you could have sent Indiana with Melo because they played them in the play, but the Knicks never came back to the playoffs to play them. Usually rivalries are established in the playoffs, not really in the regular season.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could also say, I would say it's either Miami or Indiana because you had those Indiana series
the 90s.
in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, 90s, Reggie Miller, that was a real rivalry. And Miami in the 90s was a real rivalry. And they've obviously had rivalries in the past. But in the last 20 years, is there really a rival?
No. Rob wants to know if this is the best Knicks team this millennium.
Yeah.
So if they play the 54 win team.
Yeah, they beat them. I 100% think they beat them. You want to pull up that roster? Let's compare.
Sure. Yeah, I think they beat them in 6.
It's a very good team. Obviously, they won 54 games, so they're not like bad. And they were a very good 3-point shooting team.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of they kind of before it became a really popular trend. The Knicks were kind of the first team to really shoot a ton of threes and have that be their secret.
Right.
So on that roster, so you want to go position by position?
Yeah.
Okay. So starting point guard. So now we have Brunson. I guess Jason Kidd.
Yeah, you got to go Brunson. I mean, Kidd's an all-timer.
No, wait, I guess it's Felton. Oh, no, it's Felton. Really, it's Felton. I guess they played them both together. So Felton or Jason Kidd. Who do you put as the starter? Or I guess they started together, right? That was the 2-point guard thing.
Yeah.
Are we going? Here's the question with that team. That team had two teams. They had the Melo at the 4, Amari's injured team,
mm-hmm.
and then they had them playing, and then they had the Amari's playing, and our team is worse.
You got to go with the Amari injured team because that's.
If anyone remembers, the Knicks were goddamn awesome without him. Nothing against Amari, but without Amari. And then as soon as he came back, they were a 500 team.
Yeah.
And I kind of think if Amari does not play in the playoffs, the Knicks find a way to get past Indiana. And I know this sounds weird.
No, not at all. I mean, he didn't fit with the team at all.
The Knicks also. Was Rashid injured for the playoffs?
I think he was. I think he came back like halfway through, if I remember correctly. Or maybe he was injured for it. 10
It was
years
a
ago, man.
weird. Yeah, it was a very, very weird. Oh, he was injured. Was he? No. He was. Never mind. Rashid was injured early in the year. I'm thinking of Kmart.
Oh yeah.
He was the one because when the Knicks got Kmart, they suddenly took off at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna be a weird comparison. Okay, anyway, center Tyson Chandler versus center. Okay, point guard we give the Knicks for Brunson. We give the current Knicks.
Yeah.
Shooting guard. You want to do
Kid versus Grimes.
Kid versus Grimes?
Let's go, Kid.
I guess, but Kid was also like, I mean, he was done in the playoffs. Was Kid really that great that year?
That's true. Kid started off good, and then as soon as the playoffs hits, he was absolute trash.
I mean, Kid averaged 6 points a game that season. I don't like. He was the last year of his
Grimes
career.
is averaging like 7. You want to call it a draw?
Grimes is averaging like 10, isn't he?
Oh, thanks, Rob. Sorry, we're bad. Shumpert.
Oh, Shumpert. Okay. I mean,
Shumpert
fine,
over
Shumpert.
Grimes. Shumpert over.
okay,
Grimes.
Shumpert over. You think Shumpert over Grimes?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, the 3. Well, who's the 3 then? I like.
All right, we've completely ruined this.
I thought JR comes off the bench. I thought Shump was kind of acting like the 3 there.
Why don't you just pull up the box score from one of the playoff games?
I don't have a box score, but I'm looking at the roster, and like it doesn't make. It was really like Chandler at the 5, Melo at the 4, and the 3 and the 2 because they played 2 point guards together, and then they had Shump out there also. Then J.R. Smith came off the bench. I think Kmart kind of came off the bench also. They had a lot of injuries that year also.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's the roster. That's basically the roster. They had Chris Copeland also on the rock coming off the bench who like contributed. They had Steve Novak from 3. There was some depth there, and you had Amari when he was healthy. I think this team is better.
Yeah.
I don't like. They won 54 games. I feel like this team. First of all, you just got Hart like I guess 9 games ago. We're undefeated in the Hart era, and the team has been playing at a over 50 win pace since they were 10-13 against Dallas.
So Sheed was out. Kmart played.
Yeah, Sheed was out early. She played early in the season, and he was out. Kmart played near the end of the season. He was really good, and he was kind of like Kmart almost was like the Josh Hart of that team. He kind of did a little bit of everything, even though the stats didn't reflect him being like amazing.
Yeah.
I mean Chandler. I mean, where do you put Chandler versus Mitch? I feel like Chandler has to win that.
Yeah. Because Chandler. I mean, it's close though. It's close. Like Chandler.
I don't know how close it is.
Chandler didn't have much of an offensive game either.
Okay, first of all, I mean, he was the defensive player of the year, which Mitch is not going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I like Mitch a lot. He played more minutes. He generally stayed healthier that season, at least. He was a beast, basically. He was such a good defensive center. I know you're right. He didn't have much of an offensive game either, but I feel like he was still a little. I probably on offense they're probably equal, but I feel like Chandler was a better defensive center. I don't think that's crazy to say.
No, I don't think it's crazy to say. Would you? Okay, I guess the big question would be Randall or Melo.
Randall passes more than Melo does. Is Melo that much better of a scorer than Randall?
No, I don't think so.
It's pretty close to say, without being controversial here, it's pretty goddamn close.
Yeah, I think it's very close. I mean, look at Melo's field goal percentage, and then tell me he's that much better than. Well, I'm just looking at the playoff games, and it's not great.
Are you looking at the playoff box score?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking. So field goal percentage, he shot about 45% from the field that year and about 38% from 3. So a little bit better for 3-point shooting. She scored 28 points a game. You could argue he was a little bit better of a scorer. He also took a lot of shot. Maybe he's a little bit better scorer than Randall. But Brunson is such a better scorer than anyone. It's hard to do the comparison. The problem with doing the comparison, it doesn't really show what this team has. This team has you got IQ. I think IQ and J.R. Smith off the bench. Is that a push? I might even give it to IQ. IQ's been playing so goddamn well.
Overall, I think the bench of the current team's better. It also depends on the day of the week. Weekend games,
yes.
JR was a complete mess.
I would just say that IQ's defense is stellar. I think they have the as far as defensive rating, he's third in the NBA. That's crazy. J.R. Smith was not a great defender. He wasn't terrible, but he was not a great defender.
Yeah.
I'd say at best he was an average defender on most nights, but IQ is a high-end defender. And Josh Hart off the bench, like the Knicks don't have anyone like that. The old Knicks didn't have anyone they didn't have a second guy like Josh Hart.
Right.
Um,
I'm looking at their bench right now, and it's really bad.
It's a mediocre. I mean, they beat that year. They were definitely better than the Celtics in the first round, even though J.R. Smith did that. I forget when he elbowed Jason Terry and got the Celtics back into it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That team seemed a bit of a fluke, and they fell apart the year after. Guys got old, Chandler got injured, and so forth. This is a flat out. I think this team would win that series in 6 games, maybe 5 games. I really think they have such heart. Like I really, and I think as much as people like Woodson, I think Tibbs is a better coach.
They were too old. They wouldn't be able to run with this team.
Is it that crazy? I just said Tibbs is a better coach than Woodson.
No, I don't think that.
I don't understand what people are looking for. Like the coach gets to play super hard. Like they are playing as hard as they can for him. Like people almost make that critique. They're like, I don't know about Woodson. He makes them play hard every night.
Right. Or he doesn't. Tibbs doesn't develop the players. It's just most of them got significantly better under his watch.
Just play. I was listening to the Ringer NBA show before, and they were talking about the Knicks, and they said, well, one of the advantages they have is that Tibbs just he has guys diving for loose balls in meaningless regular season games in the middle of January.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a negative. So he brings it every night. So somehow that's a negative against him because he tries to win most games.
So I found this interesting. They talked to Randall recently, and he said he doesn't like the what do you call it? Management, whatever you call it, when people rest.
Oh, you mean load management?
Load management. He doesn't like that. He feels like he stays in better shape when he's playing all the time, and if he takes time off for load management, he feels like it's harder to get back into the groove of things. So he doesn't like missing any games.
Well, they were saying that in the Celtic game, in the game last night, the ESPN broadcast, they were saying that Celtics had said they were saying that they felt like they I forget the name of their coach, their current coach, who was the assistant before. Mm-hmm. He felt the team kind of let up the gas pedal before the playoffs, and it was hard to get them back into it was hard to get them back into play. I mean, they had a good year anyway, but he felt the team wasn't ready for the playoffs because they kind of had stopped playing so hard at the regular season, at the end of the season.
Right, yeah. So he was anti-load management, except that he is resting the whole team today.
Oh, is it? The Celtics are basically throwing the game to Cleveland.
Well, they're resting Horford and Tatum. So they're starting Muscala, Blake Griffin, who didn't even play yesterday, and White.
Tatum, I legitimately could be tired from throwing up bricks. The bricks are heavy.
But they are up 9 against Cleveland with 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Tatum missed 11 threes yesterday. But he's a superstar. So the Celtics have a superstar in Tatum, so they can win the title. But the Knicks cannot win a title because they have non-superstars who outplayed Tatum yesterday.
They are 3-1 against the Celtics this season.
But those wins don't count. We're not a real contender. I mean, the team that only won 1 game against us, they're a real contender.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can we be a contender?
According to the media, no.
We need a superstar. We need some player that's been elevated to superstar. I think we're getting there. I don't know. I'm not saying we're winning everything this year. We're probably not winning everything this year. I'd be very happy with the second round. We're making some noise in the playoffs.
I agree. Are you scared of Cleveland?
It's not like they're gonna have a different mode in the play. It's not like things are gonna change dramatically. It's the same players. You could argue that like the same players playing you every night, and the team's like just preparing just for you makes a difference. But as long as the Knicks are healthy, they have a good shot at beating Cleveland. I don't see why not.
I tell you, I'm not scared of Cleveland's bench.
I mean, Cleveland doesn't have much of a bench. They
This is
also got rid of Kevin Love, who was, I thought, a helpful bench piece.
This is what I think puts the Knicks ahead of some teams. The Knicks are legit 9 deep, and most teams can barely have a great starting 5, maybe a 6th man.
Right.
And I know the lineup's shortened in the playoffs, but you got a guy in foul trouble, you're going to need some guy off the bench to play. And, you know, you Cleveland, what are you going to trot out like Osman or Rubio? Like, that's
You
not.
might, but like, it's the Knicks have already shortened. I mean, you're not going to short it to an 8-man. I mean, you don't have to short it to an 8-man.
A lot of teams do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, who would the Knicks stop playing?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they have to. Like,
Yeah,
I think the Knicks are well-rounded enough where there's not a guy out there where you're like, oh, when this guy's out there, the Knicks are weaker.
Right. I mean, that was the big. Once you got rid of, the big thing was, once you didn't have to play McBride, you really had just like a very even team.
Yeah, as
Like,
much as we
everyone's
like
good.
McBride and Sims, it was a downgrade from who was playing.
I mean, in the Celtic game, like, Brunson sat for the Celtic game because of an injured foot, and like they put McBride out there, and and Tibbs is like, I've seen 3 minutes of that. Let's stop the play. Let's stop having McBride out there.
Yeah, end of experiment. Let's play everybody 50 minutes tonight.
Yeah, I swear, IQ played 55 minutes, and I felt like after the game ended, he could have jogged home to New York.
He had like a little bit of sweat on his forehead, and that was it.
In the second period, in the second overtime, he basically at some like maybe a minute or 2 minutes in the second overtime, suddenly he racks up 7 straight points, hits a 3, and it's just like skipping.
Yeah,
And you're like, you're in your 53rd minute of play, and you're skipping. And he's like, dude, he is unbelievable.
every time he scored, he either skipped or did a dance or did. Celtics fans must have been so mad at him.
I mean, he's always smiling. I
Yeah.
mean, as a Knicks fan, it's awesome. If you're rooting against him, the fact that the dude's always smiling kind of makes you angry.
It was pure joy though. It wasn't like taunting. He was just like, he's like, I'm so happy that I'm having this good of a game.
Yeah, he was. I was so badly. I wanted to beat the Celtics anyway, and beating them 2 of the last 4 games is great. But I was like, it'll be so great if they can beat him, so we could fully enjoy this IQ game. Because
Yeah.
if the Knicks lose, you'd be like, they lost, but they got this great performance from IQ. It doesn't matter as much, but it matters so much more when you win the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was flat out. Oh, so finishing in the Miami game, the Miami game just ended on the craziest end of the game. First, the Knicks are up by a lot early on against the Miami. And the Miami keeps like chiseling on the way back, and then like the game's close at the end. Randall turns the ball over. Miami scores, and you're like, shit, this is over. And then Randall's stumbling, almost turns the ball over. Then almost turns the ball over again. Then jacks up a shot. Just hit a crazy 3 to win that game.
I thought there was no way that was going. He was jumping to the side. He's jumping to the right, shooting it with his left. I mean, I know he's lefty, but like,
I had this. I'm like, the Knicks are going to win this game. I know the Knicks are going to win this game. And then when he almost turned the ball over the second time, I'm like, I guess they're not going to win this game.
I was like, they might not even get a shot off.
Because they don't always. And then and also, he did the same thing. He's got to watch it's like every team knows basically near the end of the game, you could just have a guy run from the other direction basically when his blind side basically and steal the ball from him. That's what the Celtics did in regulation yesterday.
Like 5 times, yeah.
Yeah. He's got to be a little, and I think I guess I was gonna say in the Miami game, I guess if Brunson was there, but Randall had it worked out. It was crazy. It was an absolutely crazy end of the game. And then it ended perfectly with 1 second to go, and the ball, Mitch just intercepts the inbound play.
Yeah, yep.
Because I'm like, they're gonna get this shot off. Somehow this is gonna this was just an amazing. And then the Celtic game was just unbelievable. I guess we're just gonna gush. Should we gush the whole episode?
Probably. I mean, that final play, I'm just glad Horford didn't get the ball. I feel like he hit every shot.
No, Horford missed the 3 at the end.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were talking about a different play. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the I'm talking about Miami
missed.
game.
Right, he finally.
Yeah,
missed.
Horford finally missed. I can't believe he hit 6 threes. The Celtic game was crazy. So, so what do you want to say about quickly? Is like, first of all, how many Brinks trucks do they have to have a backup to pay quickly now?
I mean, he's probably gonna get like 4 years, 80.
He might get 4 years, 100. He's gonna. I think he's the odds-on favorite to win Sixth Man of the Year.
He was plus 6,000 like 2 weeks ago.
National televised game. He is the man against. I know he started, but like, unbelievable game against the Celtics.
Yeah,
and he's probably going to keep playing well. Of all the guys in the category of Sixth Man of the Year, he's the best defender by far.
As long as they pay everybody, like if this team gets to the second round, there's no reason they shouldn't pay Hart and Quickly.
I think they have to pay both those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think they're legitimately trying to compete next year if they don't pay both those guys. And I think they will. Okay, so my idea for the episode, I thought we should do a player power ranking. And by the way, CBS Sports in their most recent NBA power rankings, I don't know how these work exactly, but the Knicks are the #1 team in the power rankings.
Yeah, they jumped a bunch of spots on CBS's ranking.
It's weird because, like, I mean, the Bucks are the better. I mean, I love the Knicks. The Bucks are better. Why aren't the Bucks or the Nuggets ahead of them? Like, what is? I don't know what these power rankings are based on. Like how you're playing right now.
Yeah, that's what a power ranking is.
Well, I thought it's like a season power ranking. Like,
it's current status.
Oh, please keep in mind that our NBA power rankings are based on weekly performance, not the whole season.
Yeah, because you can't do that.
Okay, so the Knicks are playing the best team in the NBA currently by weekly performance.
Right.
Sounds good to me. Okay. Do you want to do a Knicks player power ranking? We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah. You're ranking the players on current performance as well.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna rank them on like past performance only.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Do you like doing your rankings backwards?
By the way, who is the worst team in the NBA right now according to the CBS Power, or the worst team playing currently according to the CBS Power rankings?
Spurs.
Pistons.
Huh. I was gonna say Spurs because I think the Rockets beat the Spurs.
The
Rockets are like the worst team.
Rockets, Spurs, and Detroit. Like, I guess all the really bad teams.
Yeah.
And not us. We're nowhere near that there. Okay, so who do you think right now is your #1 ranked Knicks player?
Still gonna go.
Are you hanging on? Are you gonna do the full season or just like how do you want to do this?
Are you new to power rankings?
Talk to me like I'm a moron.
It's weighted towards currently.
Recent play. Okay.
Yes. And you don't have to do just the last 3 games, but it's like the way they're trending.
Okay, trending last few weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still going with Randall.
Okay, I'm going Brunson, my #1.
The only reason I'm not is because he missed last game and he's probably missing next game. So
They're playing Charlotte, so I don't know if that's a quote unquote game. They better beat Charlotte also. That's an ultimate. It'd be nice to get their make it a 10-game winning streak.
It would.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I know. So Tibbs was the first Knicks coach to ever have 2 8-game winning streaks in the same season. And the first coach started since Red
Auerbach. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty impressive for a coach that everyone wants fired. And Charlotte's kind of a give me. LaMelo's not even playing. The Knicks should probably win that game.
So that team had an 8-game win streak and an 11-game win streak. So if the Knicks beat Charlotte and then Sacramento, they'll have an 8-game and 11-game win streak on the 50th anniversary of their championship team.
It's the 73 team, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am taking Brunson because I still would rather the ball in Brunson. If I'm going to take even though even though Randall hit that amazing three in Miami, I'm still trusting Brunson a little more at the end of the games. I think they would have beaten the Celtics in regulation if they had Brunson. Brunson's just if you need a bucket, he will get you that bucket. I'm going Brunson slightly over Randall.
That's fair.
I'm assuming you're gonna like just some of the turnovers from Randall. If I'm gonna nitpick, Randall's great. He's been awesome, and I assume that you're gonna take Brunson second. I'm gonna take Randall second.
Yeah, I just had to ding Brunson for missing a game.
I'm not gonna ding him for that. It's whatever. Okay, who's third?
Third is IQ.
Okay, I guess we're just gonna agree from here on out.
I mean, how can he not after that game?
IQ's been playing so well. It's been unbelievable. I one of the things I have to apologize. I really I could not see IQ being this good last year. I was kind of out on him, and early this year I was like, he's not. I was hoping hoping he would take a really giant leap, a step, get better, and like the first month of the season he wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's taking a quantum leap, basically.
Yeah. We were saying we need a few guys to make a leap for the Knicks to make some noise, and he's one of them.
So first of all, people have been calling they want IQ to start, and I think that's do you think IQ should be starting?
I never think it's a good idea to have all your firepower in at the same time, because when those guys sit, that's when you let the other team back into the game. So now you have Brunson or RJ sit, and you got IQ coming in, and you don't miss a beat. It's just like you wear a team down. It's just constant threats on the court.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know why you would. First of all, you're not. Why would you change the lineup? That's won 9 games in a row. I really like this how Tibbs has been staggering, taking. He takes RJ out with maybe 5 or 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. Then he brings him back with the bench unit. So you see IQ a lot with the starters and with the bench unit.
I mean, let's not pretend that he's not playing 30 minutes a game anyway.
Yeah, he's playing 30 minutes. That was like I remember when J.R. Smith won the Sixth Man of the Year, and you're like, he's basically playing the full game, except he's not there in the opening tip-off.
Yeah, I think JR was like 3rd or 4th on the team in minutes. But he won 6th man, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but so IQ's playing I think he's playing 31 minutes a game, and he's finishing games. So that's what else can you ask for? But he's been unbelievable. It also feels like he could play 48 minutes a night. Like he is so well conditioned, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, who's fourth? I feel like we might disagree at some point.
Mitch.
I'm going to say Josh Hart over Mitch. Only because Mitch wasn't so good against Miami. He's still he can be awesome, but I sometimes I feel like he can be a little inconsistent also.
I agree. I mean, he's not really an offensive threat. I just feel like this team looks like a completely different team when he's not playing. Like
Hart's been really good as of late, but Hartenstein, I mean. I Hart. Yes, that's I don't know. I mean the Knicks are 9-0 in the Josh Hart era, so it's hard not to put him fourth for that reason alone.
Yeah, I feel like when Mitch is out there, you're like, okay, he's good, but he's not doing a ton. But when he's out, you're like, oh yeah, the Knicks really need Mitch back in right now. So
remember, like, we haven't done this with the power ranking in a while, and like when we were doing it last year and years before, you were like, well, after 2, it's really hard to rank. But this list it gets so negative so fast, and now we're like, oh, this guy, he's so great. Oh my god, he's so amazing. It's just like 1 through 9. This is 1 through 9. So like it's everyone you're super positive about.
That's why I stopped doing it this year, because like the Knicks got off to a slow start. It was like Brunson and Randall, and nobody else was playing well. And I was just like, I don't want to do a power ranking where I'm shitting on like 13 guys on the roster.
And now you're just like, everyone's great. Like, okay, so I'm gonna take I assume maybe you take Hart at 5, and I'm taking Mitch at 5.
Yeah.
Really not a bold move here. Okay, so finish it off 6th. Who are you taking 6th?
6th, I am taking.
It's a little harder here.
Yeah. Probably iHeart.
Hart's been pretty good.
The Hart Foundation.
Heart Foundation. Anyone else? Any of our listeners who are around our age and watched WWF wrestling when they were a kid might know that reference. Uh, yeah, I guess I take iHeart too, and then seventh I would take Rhymes. Eighth I take RJ. Is that insane to put RJ so low?
I would put RJ ahead of Grimes. He's been picking it up lately.
Yeah, he's been in the last few games. He's actually been pretty good. But Grimes' defense has also been pretty good.
Yeah, but he's just been such a disappointment on offense, other than the Brooklyn game.
The Nets game.
You know what? I might even put RJ ahead of Ihart.
He's been better lately.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's a fair point. He's actually been making shots. He's been contributing. Who am I missing? Who's the ninth guy?
Obi.
Oh. Okay, cool. I guess Obi goes. Here's where the list gets negative at number 9.
I mean, it's he's not playing bad. He's just not doing much. And
he's not doing much.
I guess it's hard when he's playing 11 minutes a game, but
someone was saying, like, I think it's on Twitter. They're like, "What the hell? Like, why? Like, you're letting IQ play and let's see what he can do. Why aren't you letting Obi play? Because IQ's been awesome and earned these minutes and played great defense. Obi's kind of getting the minutes he's earned."
You know, we've said it before. It's just hard when you're behind a guy who is an all-star and is, you know, look at the backups for other all-stars. They're not getting a lot of minutes. It's just the way it is.
It's the big thing is also its defense. If Obi was giving like really awesome defense, he'd be getting more minutes.
That too.
That's the biggest thing. Tibbs wants defense. You got to play defense for him, or you got to be a super offensive player.
Yeah, a lot of people are complaining that IQ didn't play a lot last year. Guess whose defense wasn't great last year?
It wasn't bad, but it's gotten a lot better this year.
Right.
Yeah. He's stepped up. He's just gotten to become a better player. I think with the thing with Obi, it's the thing is when you see Obi on the court, if the Knicks were like offense looked phenomenal with Obi on the court, but he looked like he was just a terrible defender, you'd be like, well, I guess maybe we could live with that. Like live with it because his offense is so good. But you put him out there, he doesn't do that much on offense, and he's a bad defender.
Yeah, it's just Tibbs' way. Like anybody who's gotten better on defense, their minutes have increased. Grimes got better on defense. IQ got better on defense. Their minutes went up. That's just the way it is.
Like you could argue, even when Randall wasn't playing great on defense, you can argue like, well, in theory, he gives us like an edge on offense.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch Obi out there, at every point you ever think he's dominating the offense?
No, I did see him drive the other day instead of, you know, he got the ball in the corner and actually drove to the net instead of like just standing in the corner and shooting.
I think he did against the Celtics. That was, he got the points. It was nice.
Yeah, it was good.
Speaking of driving to the basket, Mitch drove to the basket yesterday
from the 3-point line.
That was, you saw him like he beat, who did he beat? What defender did he beat?
He beat the whole team.
No, but who was actually guarding him?
Was it Grant Williams?
It might have been. I forget who was guarding him, but he just like took the guy off the dribble and went right to the basket. And you saw that and you're like, his handle doesn't even look that bad. Why does he do this more often?
Right.
Because he was going to the basket. You saw the Celtics were like, let's get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, that was nice. By the way, how happy are you that you don't have to root for Marcus Smart? Like I wouldn't even feel good like rooting for a guy who's that cheesy. Like it's also the ref's fault for falling for it. Like there was one play where Mitch wasn't even moving. He was setting a screen and he wasn't even moving, and they called a foul on him.
They call some. I mean, the Knicks, I guess, got some foul calls their way also, but like there were some crappy fouls.
It was an Ed Malloy game. So,
you want to do some questions?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do some questions.
nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. There are links to our Discord in all of those, so join our Discord and you can chat with us during the games.
Yeah. Okay. Anthony writes, is this what it's like to have a Warriors podcast? Surreal.
Yeah, I guess it's it feels weird doing like multiple positive podcasts in a row.
I mean, this team is just so you can argue whether the 2012-13 team would be like, if who would win in a 7-game series, fine, you can make an argument. But there's no question this is this is a more fun team than that team. This is the most fun Knicks team since the 90s, hands down. And the future looks really bright, whereas that team was kind of old and decrepit. This team is like, you're like, wow, a lot of the young players we're rooting for are all like early to mid 20s.
Yeah.
The oldest veteran is a 28-year-old Randall. That's playing as part of the rotation, at least.
So this is actually the longest winning streak, the second longest winning streak since we've been doing the podcast.
The second longest. What is the longest?
The longest is that 2013 team. They won 13 in a row.
Okay. Well, the Knicks will have to break that record.
And 18 is the all-time Knicks longest winning streak.
Was that with the 73 team or
70?
It's 70. By the way, I have to, I said this on Twitter, but I kind of have to, I mean, they're like, Leon obviously has put together a very good team here, and all my critiques, whatever, he put together a great team. 2 out of 3 trade deadlines, he made a small-ish move that like galvanized the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Derrick Rose trade wasn't wow, what a blockbuster trade at the deadline, and the Knicks took off from there. And then now the Josh Hart trade, not a huge trade, and like the Knicks have exploded since then.
Yeah, I mean, the exact player the Knicks needed.
Exact. I gotta say, like, let's trade for a superstar. I will get you the glue. I will get you the rocket fuel to take the team off.
Yep.
Huge props to him. Anthony writes, are we winning 50 games? The Knicks have to go 11-5 to win 50 games. What do you think?
I predicted 3 games ago that they would win exactly 50, and I see no reason to change my prediction, especially since one of my penciled-in losses was to the Celtics. So
it's going to be close. Kirby writes, do you think
538 predicts that the Knicks will finish at 49.
Okay, that's fine. I also 538 probably I think predict the Knicks would be a shitty team this year. So I mean, I appreciate their predictions now. I'm pretty sure the preseason they predicted the Knicks to be trash. Kirby writes, do you think we can still get Gordon Hayward's soon to be expiring contract for Julius Randle this offseason? I, for one, am dying to know. Sarcasm for those ready to fight. I was probably one of the few people still positive about Julius during even last year's doldrums. LOL.
Yeah, I'm not going to tolerate any more trade Randle talk.
Yeah, the trade Randle talk dies. I trade Randle's talk stops, and the fire Tibbs talk kind of has to stop also.
Yeah.
We need to fire Tibbs because we needed like a coach that will, I don't know, get them not to work as hard or not win games, but develop Obi. What are you looking for here? Knickerbocker Ave said I'd be listening, but he'll join in. He has class tonight, and long-suffering New York Knicks pod, who's a great Knicks pod, said, are the Knicks now a destination?
Absolutely. I mean, Why wouldn't they be? Like, you could tell they're having fun.
So much fun.
Everyone seems to like each other. Look how many teams that just look miserable out there. Like look at the Hawks. Like they look like they hate each other.
If Fred Katz on The Athletic has been reporting how like the locker room guys are just so happy to be there. Basically, they're not happy. They're so happy to be playing together.
I mean, Rose literally said, "I don't care if I'm getting no minutes. Like I just want to be a part of this team."
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
48. It wasn't like didn't like ask to be traded. Like guys just want to be here. Guys, Obi, who's not getting that many minutes, seems super happy when you see him on the bench at least. Like
first guy up every play, first guy to cheer, first guy to high five.
It's also the Knicks have a lot of play. I mean, like generally they have a lot of guys who are fun to play with. Even though the Knicks go a little heavy on the ISO, Randall gets a bunch of assists. He passes the ball. Brunson obviously passes the ball. You have a guy like Josh Hart will just do everything he can, dive for loose balls. That's always a fun guy to play with.
Mm-hmm.
IQ works. It's guys, everyone's working extra hard, which really makes you like want to be on this team.
Yeah.
And you're getting results, basically.
Yeah, it's paying off. I mean,
Paying off. This is such a fun team. David writes, should we really be celebrating Randall's buzzer beater against the Heat?
Yes.
He did commit the handover while acting like a fool that put us down in that situation. I think he meant turnover. And he almost turned it over again on the final play before heaving up a contested three. The shot wasn't pretty. It is funny, like, I know there was no timeout to actually draw up a play, but can you imagine Tibbs being like, I know you guys aren't going to like this. Okay, Randall, can you try to turn the ball over twice and just like chuck something while you're hot, like really contested?
I mean, if they had a timeout, I don't picture that final possession looking very different.
I didn't see the 2-minute report, but I kind of think Randall might have traveled on that play at the end. I don't know. Do you think he traveled on that play? I think he kind of traveled when he was trying to get the three off.
Maybe. I mean,
they didn't call it, but like it kind of looked like he traveled.
I mean, he could also probably have called a foul too. So
yeah,
we'll call it a wash.
Josh responds to David by saying, just enjoy the wins, which is everyone should just be enjoying the wins.
Yeah, I mean, Randall's not a perfect player, but he's been awesome.
Yeah.
He hit the shot. He's won us a lot of games this season.
I mean, he may not be the quote unquote superstar or the best guy on a championship team. A lot of superstars have off nights also, or like have their weaknesses also. It helps that we have other players who are also really good. Like there was Jay pointed out to me, there was already an article on ESPN saying, does Phoenix have enough help to win the title?
That has to have been the most comical article I've seen in years. Does Phoenix have enough help?
The bench isn't great. The Knicks have an all-around roster, which is a huge advantage.
Yeah. I mean, they got one of the best players in the league to the team with who made the finals 2 years ago and really didn't change much to the roster. Added one of the best players in the league, and they're like, I don't know if they have enough help.
Is Phoenix the favorite?
I think so.
Coming out of the West, at least to make the finals.
I think they are. I mean, I know they're only in fourth right now, but I think they're the favorite.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to argue. I mean, do you think Denver's got a chance against them? I mean, Denver having the best record and they having Jokic, who's awesome.
I do. I think that's going to be a great series, and I really hope Denver pulls it off.
I'm hoping Sacramento beats everyone and goes to the finals, because that'll be a team the Knicks could beat in the finals.
Honestly, I'd be happy with anybody except Phoenix. Screw that.
Yeah, I would see Luka. Well, I don't want to see Dallas or Phoenix go. Anyone else I'm very happy with.
I don't think we have to worry about Dallas.
Frank writes, what are the Knicks going to do about IQ? His play is elevating him to possible starting point guard status for another team, very similar to Brunson's situation in Dallas. At this point, I have to believe Dallas regrets not offering Brunson a deal he couldn't refuse. If they had re-signed him, they could have in turn saved players and picks they used on Kyrie and spent them elsewhere at the trade deadline. Do you extend him after this year? Do you wait? He's due $4.4 million next year and is restricted free agent in 2024. So what do you offer him? Same as Brunson, 4 years, $104 million, 4 years, $100. Then you have to resign Hart. So we kind of addressed this a little bit already, but what realistically do you have to pay him basically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You wait.
The Brunson thing was weird because it seemed like he wanted to stay in Dallas initially. But he told them he wasn't going to negotiate during the season, and they decided to wait to see if he had a good season. They basically called his bluff.
Well, they lowballed him also. They offered him 4 years, $55 million.
Right, which I think if they offered at the beginning of the season, he might have taken it. But waited.
I thought they offered at the beginning of the season. They offered that later in the season?
Yeah, I thought they waited till right before All-Star break or something, and he said, I told you I'm not going to negotiate during the season.
I mean, you might be right. I forget the order of everything, but it was still. I just know they screwed that up majorly. If they offered him 4 years, $100 million, he'd still be in Dallas.
Yeah.
There's no question. They screwed up by giving the window for the Knicks to step in. The difference here is IQ's a Knick next year, no matter what, unless the Knicks trade him, because the Knicks have him for a fourth year. They have him under contract, and then they have him the restricted free agent. You don't have to extend him this offseason. You could wait another year and see how he plays. But I'm kind of fine extending him also.
Yeah, I mean, I think him and Hart are both. Hart's probably going to get less. He's probably going to get 4 years, 60, and I think IQ gets 4 years 80.
I think IQ gets 4 years 100. And Hart probably 4 years 60, maybe 4 years 68, something like that. I don't know. He's gonna get because Hart's also really good. I think the Knicks are over the cap anyway. If you're able to spend the money, like if the cap's not a factor, then just spend the money and keep these guys.
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to build if you don't do that?
Right. I mean, you can't go too nuts because
Because what? You pay because James Dolan will pay the tax. Who gives a crap?
I won't be able to afford even the nosebleed seats if they start doing that.
They're already insanely expensive. What are you going to do? The game's absurdly expensive at this point. Just pay them. Give us a winning team. The point, you're supposed to be drafting players. So when you can't pay guys, you move on to other players. The Knicks have not been drafting players. I mean, they punted on some draft picks, including this year's number 11 pick, which the Knicks could have made, is Jalen Williams. See what he's doing in OKC. Leon Rose has been awesome, but
that was a big miss. Yeah, that was a big miss.
That guy looks awesome in OKC. He would have been such a great player to have in the Knicks. The Knicks might have passed up. This guy might be a future All-Star. The Knicks passed up on him just to clear cap space because they screwed up the previous offseason so poorly. Anyway, I feel like you got to pay. The Knicks have no chance of competing going forward if you don't pay these guys. How do you not keep your core?
Right.
You can use them in a future star trade if you want to, but you got to keep the core going forward. Keith writes, they're playing great ball, but Tibbs needs to think about minutes management because they'll be gassed in the playoffs.
I mean, the players seem to disagree with that too.
The minutes, first of all, IQ apparently only, as long as you play him less than 100 minutes a game, he's fine. It seems like also the minutes were kind of, as long as everyone's healthy, the minutes are all actually pretty reasonable. Everyone's playing no one's playing crazy minutes.
Right. Yeah.
It's only, I mean, obviously the last night against Celtics,
unless there's an injury or an overtime game, which apparently nobody makes subs in overtime, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, no one does. Don't blame Tibbs like the Celtics. No one seems to make subs. And you're like, this is 5 minutes. You can play the goddamn 5 minutes.
I didn't realize Jalen Williams was playing this well.
Jeez. I've been following his box score. He's been playing really. Don't look at the season numbers. Look what he's been doing lately.
That's what I looked at his last, because he's only averaging 13 for the season, but he's averaging over 20 in the last 15 games or something.
Yeah. Bill Simmons also did you said he wrote an art. I didn't see the article. He wrote some article praising Jalen Williams as being a future star, basically.
Great. Good call. Punting on that pick.
Yeah. So that one probably was a, 2 of the 3 years that, and he's a small forward. So he's a guy that the Knicks really should have taken. But Daniel writes, how, who are these Knicks? Am I dreaming? I really hope Randall and Brunson stay healthy. I fear they will get hurt. IQ needs to get paid this offseason.
Agreed. Yeah. Brunson and Randall are like Iron Men. I mean, I know Brunson's out now, but he sprained his ankle pretty bad, and he might miss just one game. And
he's going to miss 2 games because he's going to miss the Charlotte game probably.
He's questionable. So we'll see.
He'll probably should have the Charlotte game.
He should. Go on. He should.
Okay.
Get that ankle healthy. But and Randall never misses a game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, Randall is very close to breaking Fournier's all-time Knicks 3-point record.
Oh, that record it stood for so long. Less than a calendar year. How close is he?
He needs to average 3 a game for the rest of the season.
3 makes a game. 3 threes a game.
Yep, and he's averaging 3 a game. So
that would be pretty crazy. When it's amazing when he's on. He really can nail those threes.
Yeah.
Frank writes, we're on a 9-game winning streak and have probably the best team we've seen in 25 years, if not one of the most enjoyable to watch. Yet somehow people are highly critical of Tibbs and Randall. What's wrong with these people? Are they just miserable overall? Are they the type of people that would boo Santa Claus at a sporting event, kick a puppy, steal candy from a baby? Sounds right to me. Yes, I don't know how. I don't know how a Knicks fan you could not be just super. It is must see TV. Every game the Knicks play, it is so exciting. It is so much fun watching this team. If you are a Knicks fan and you're not currently enjoying this team because we don't have a superstar, or because the Knicks got looked bad against Atlanta 2 years ago, or whatever, or Tibbs is mismanaging this team. If you can't enjoy this, then just stop watching basketball or stop rooting for the Knicks. If you can't enjoy this, then you just shouldn't even be a fan.
Yeah.
This is the good stuff.
This is what we've been waiting like 10 years for.
20 years. Well, yeah, it's 10 years for the podcast, but 20 years generally. I mean, when's the last time we had this much fun watching the Knicks? It's the 90s. There's nothing close to it.
Yeah, I mean, there was brief stretches. I mean, Linsanity, the 54-win team, but I feel like I'm more excited about this team because I feel like this feels more real. I don't know. The other ones felt like kind of fluky.
You mean the random guy we signed, not that became an all-star and a worldwide sensation, seemed fluky?
Never to be seen again. Like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm sure you have like the 90s also, like, they were fun, but there wasn't like you're always trying to beat the Bulls, and you were always like it was just cool that we had a team that would win tons of games every year in the regular season, and it was always going to be a shot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is I feel like this team has really turned a corner where like I used to feel like, will my son's lifetime will the Knicks ever contend? Now I'm like, we might have a shot of really being contender in the next few years. Like, we're not that far away.
Yeah.
Justin writes, thoughts on Perkins calling Stephen A bandwagon Knicks fan and saying New York fans don't want him.
This might be the first time I've agreed with Perkins on anything.
I really don't love Stephen A.
He does everything just for drama and get people talking. Like it's so silly.
He's a caricature of, like, I'm sure at some point he was more like less annoying to deal with, like to watch.
Yeah.
But like he became big on outrage, and now he's just a caricature of himself. I think he was saying today how like the Knicks, if they better not play Cleveland and lose to Cleveland because they should have had Donovan Mitchell, and like, shut the hell up. Like, just shut the hell up. Forget about the Donovan Mitchell stuff. This team is awesome. They're really fun. If you're a Knicks fan, you should be enjoying this.
He was pretending to cry because the Knicks didn't draft Johnny Davis, who's in the G League.
Was that this draft or last draft? Or
yeah, that was the most recent draft.
Oh,
it's amazing how wrong he is, how often.
Yeah, I have to say, I know we talked about it in the previous last show, and like we'll keep talking about the idea of a superstar. I think the superstar thing is overrated.
Yeah,
I think a complete roster beats, and I know every goddamn the finals you look at, like the team with the superstar seems to win it, but I if you have a really solid bunch of guys who play all-star level, a complete roster beats like having the superstar.
Pretty sure the Final Four is going to have an superstar in each team.
How many superstars are there? I think we talked about this last show, but like there aren't that many. Who are the superstars? You'd say Steph Curry, Durant, Doncic, Luka, Embiid.
Luka and Doncic?
Yeah, both of them. Steph and Curry. Basically, there are 10 superstars.
Yeah, Jokic, Giannis. Some people say Tatum. Not when he plays the Knicks.
And I guess I would not look at any team and say they don't have. So let me look at the best teams right now. Who does not have a superstar? So Milwaukee, they have Giannis. They obviously are an amazing team. Celtics, are we saying Tatum's a superstar?
Sure.
Is Tatum really a superstar? Is he like that great?
I don't watch enough Celtics. People who watch Celtics say he's a superstar. Every time he plays the Knicks, he does not look like a superstar.
Okay, Sixers, they have Embiid, superstar. But they also, the Celtics, we've seen what they had. And the Celtics have they do have depth. They have a very good team. I mean, obviously, all these are all good teams. The Sixers' depth isn't great. Mm-hmm. Cleveland, is Donovan Mitchell a superstar?
Yeah, I guess.
Guess. I mean, like, he's a superstar that doesn't really put up better stats than Jalen Brunson.
Correct.
I mean, he doesn't do anything better than Jalen Brunson, but he's a superstar and Brunson's not, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then we go Pat. Then I guess going to the West, Denver. They have Jokic. I guess is Ja a superstar in Memphis?
He was. Now he might be in jail.
What was the deal? So he flashed guns on Instagram at a club.
Yeah, he was at a strip club, clearly like just wasted, and he like held up a gun. You're allowed to have a gun in Denver, but you're not allowed to have a gun if you're under the influence. Also, there's a question how he got the gun to Denver. If he took it on the team flight, that's against league rules.
Is this gonna lead to a Supreme Court case where they rule that you're allowed to be drunk? If you're drunk at a strip club, you're allowed to have a gun as long as you're on Instagram.
As long as you're worth over $100 million.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he should go to jail.
I don't think he's not going to go to jail, but like he might get fined and have probation or something, or he might just get a long suspension from the league.
I would just say like it's poor form, generally speaking. I'm not against guns, but I think it's poor form to have any player representing the league show himself on Instagram with guns. I think that's what was that? Remember what was Gilbert Arenas got in trouble with for a gun?
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised the league was basically like, Memphis, you handle this.
Well, maybe because Memphis said we'll suspend him for a couple games.
Yeah, but like if it's 2 games and that's it, like David Stern would have suspended him for like 50 games.
Oh, I think that's going overboard. Also, I don't know if he broke any laws. I know what you're saying, but I don't know if he did. If he broke some laws, that'd be different. Then maybe that's different. If he sits a few games, I think that's probably a fine punishment. I just think it's a really bad look for the league. I think him doing that is a really bad look for the league.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also don't think like I don't think he needs to like be suspended for any long period of time. Do you think he does?
I don't know, like not 50 games, but I don't know. It's pretty bad.
No one got harmed. No one. I mean, he shouldn't have had a gun at the strip club while he was drunk. Are you allowed to bring a gun to a strip club in Denver? I don't know the law there.
I think if you're not drinking,
is that they take your gun after you've had 3 drinks? I think our gun laws in our country are so messed up right now that it's really hard to know what's okay and what's not okay. If he had a permit for the gun, I think it's more just a bad look than anything else.
I'm just saying that if I was at a strip club with a gun and my boss saw that video, I probably wouldn't be working at my job.
Okay, what if you were on Instagram live just at the strip club without the gun? Would your boss be happy with you?
Probably not with that either.
Jay's like, actually, I'm not allowed on Instagram, so we're good. I would say, I think we talked offline that like Zion and Ja are conspiring to make RJ look like the best pick in the draft.
Seriously.
But what's gonna happen? What's Garland gonna do? Like Garland's gonna top it all off by like admitting he was at the January 6th protest. So January 6th, like trying to overrun the Capitol.
The Viking guy takes off its mask and it's Garland.
It's Garland, yeah, exactly. Either way, he shouldn't be gone too long. Anyway, so Sacramento, do they have a superstar?
No.
They don't. And I guess like they have De'Aaron, they have Sabonis has been having a great season.
Yeah.
So we're saying Sacramento's the Knicks of the West, I guess. They're like the team that's more loaded, but they have a more well-rounded team, but they don't have that star.
Agreed. Yeah.
At the same time, when the Knicks play Sacramento and they're playing them soon, I don't fear them at all. And the Suns have stars. Golden State has stars. Minnesota, do they get a star? Does Towns a star?
No.
He's not an all-star.
But who's scared of Minnesota?
No. In Dallas, Luka obviously counts, and I guess Kyrie might count. Clippers. I guess there's a lot of superstars that go around the league, I guess.
Seems to be all the playoff teams / contenders.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it easier to be a contender. I'm just not fully convinced. And I guess you're right. If the Knicks, outside of the Knicks, I do anyone else I'm going to pick to go to the finals and have a shot at the title is going to have someone with a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like people think like these superstars have these magical abilities.
It's really just high risk, high reward. Like if you have a superstar, most likely you don't have a deep bench, and you're just hoping that everyone stays healthy and plays really well. But if you have a superstar and they don't play well in the playoffs, like I don't know, James Harden or Chris Paul, you don't win. Or if you get a superstar and he gets injured, like that's it. Like we saw the Knicks were able to win without Brunson. Like they're deeper because they're not paying somebody $50 million a year.
Would you say that some of the superstars in the league are like they're superstars, or maybe the refs just make them superstars?
Yeah, no, the refs are clearly like they call the game differently for different people, and nobody seems to like it. The players don't like it. The viewers don't like it. I don't know why.
I like Steph Curry. He's a superstar. He does things that are unbelievable. Durant, I want to root against him, but I think he's truly a superstar. He's a machine. He's just such a great shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I watch like Embiid, he's a very impressive player. I don't think Embiid's as good as people say he is. I think the refs make him as good as people say. I think the refs elevate him because you're not allowed to play defense against him.
That's the way I feel about Harden.
Yeah, I feel the same thing about Harden. You're not allowed to play defense against him.
Ja's getting to that point.
Giannis, to a certain extent, like you're not allowed to play defense against him either.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as bad as Embiid. I think Embiid's one of the forgetting Harden. You're right. Harden and Embiid are two of the most annoying guys to play defense against because they get every goddamn call.
Yeah, Anthony said Jimmy Butler gets superstar calls. He does. I don't know.
Yeah,
why.
he does.
Anyway,
if Randall got superstar calls, he'd be ridiculous.
Yeah,
that might take him to the next level. You give him the superstar calls, he'd be a superstar because he'd be getting the line at least like 6 more times a game.
Right. Or anytime somebody came from his blind side, if the refs just called a foul on that person, he wouldn't have so many turnovers.
Or any one time he's near the basket and like 3 guys jump on him, and they're like, well, he didn't flop, so he didn't get the foul.
Yeah. Anyway, we are out of time.
Okay, our last question of the game, or the last question we always end with. The Knicks have, I think we'll record next Monday. The Knicks will have 4 games before that. They have Charlotte, Sacramento, LA, and LA. The Clippers and the Lakers. How are the Knicks going to do?
I feel like this is going to be every game except Charlotte's an away game too.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks go 2-2.
Okay, so they're being Sacramento. They're being Charlotte.
Yeah.
Sacramento, you're taking as a win or a loss?
A loss.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like they should beat Sacramento. Clippers,
I'm saying loss, and then Lakers win.
I'll say 3 or 4 because I can't fathom I can't fathom we do the next. I can't fathom that next show there's a 13-game winning streak and my nipples are erect the entire show.
I mean, I won't be able
to sleep.
I'll be ecstatic if they do win all those. I just feel like, I don't know, it's getting tougher and tougher because now like so many people are talking about the Knicks. Teams are going to start playing harder against them, and at some point somebody's going to win. But hopefully it's 13. Matching the 73 teams win streak would be awesome.
I feel like I feel like the Clippers are the loss here, but I think they're going to beat Charlotte and the Sacramento. I have a great feeling about those games, and
although with Clippers, you never know who's going to play. The Knicks could play the Clippers with no Paul George, no Kawhi. Like you never know. So
yeah, there was an interview that Paul George did with JJ Redick where they were talking about load management. And instead of saying that they claimed on the show that it was really the team that's doing the load management, it's not them.
Yeah, and he was saying that he doesn't like it.
Yeah, which is weird.
Well, that's what Randall said too. That they
it's
don't
weird
stay
also
because like
shape. He basically plays with like the the Lewis Clark of load management with Kawhi. Kawhi started the load management movement basically. So I don't know how you can even like critique the thing when you're playing with this guy who's like the ultimate load management guy.
Which says he's playing with him doesn't mean he likes it.
I don't know. I feel like it was weird to have Paul George criticize it, and I also just feel like it's like I don't know. You guys could also just show up to every game and play, and it'd be fine. I think that if you told the team that you wanted to play, they would let you play.
Rob also brought up that the Clippers haven't won since they got Westbrook. I think they're 0-5.
Wow.
Oh
That's
no.
shocking.
They won their last game. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
They're like
but they've been
1-5.
pretty bad since they got it. Yeah. I mean, Dallas has been pretty bad since they got Kyrie.
Yeah. Yep. All right. We are out of time. Thank you for listening, everybody. NY Knicks podcast on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. I'm going to put a link to the Discord in the chat. So join that. You could chat with us during the games.
Oh, by the way, the Cavs did win. They used superstar Donovan Mitchell, got 40 points to lead them over the team that started Blake Griffin.
Awesome.
You needed 40 points to be a team that started Blake Griffin and Muscala.
You know what this is? Celtics just didn't want to see the Knicks in the playoffs, so they're trying to get out of their bracket.
Yeah, it seems like that. Seems like that could be the case.
They're trying to stay in second place because they don't want to be in that 1-4 bracket with the Knicks.
I don't think anyone wants to play. I mean, not that anyone wants to play like the Bucks either. Or I think those teams are like the Cleveland and the Celtics do not want to play the Knicks.
Agreed.
Or Philly. The Knicks are coming for you. I can't wait for the playoffs.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back soon. Next Monday.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye, 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 everybody.
All right. We did it.
Yes. We should do for the brink try to see how many songs we can guess on there for the goodbye song and hello song.
By the way, you mean you, right? Because I made the
Yeah, obviously not you. Maybe I
pretty
need
sure I could guess them all.
Yes, I understand that. I probably couldn't guess most of them. If Martin comes on, so maybe like the two of us could try to guess.
Yeah. We did that in the after show for Brink, and Martin got a good amount of them for the goodbye.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that because you had said that already. Man, this Knicks team is fun.
It is. It is.
How much do you think the playoff tickets are going to be?
Hundreds. I mean, if nosebleeds were 100 for regular season, playoffs got to be at least 250, 300, right?
It's going to be painful. I feel like I really want to go to a playoff game.
I know. I've never been to I haven't had much opportunity to go to a Knicks playoff game, but
I've never been to a Knicks playoff game. I was thinking about trying to take Zach to a game, but that'll be
expensive.
really expensive.
Oh, we didn't talk about how shitty the MSG Go app is.
Oh no, it felt like also there were so many people posting on it, but like they all had like a very similar. I felt like people were being paid to post it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt really weird. I actually accused one account. I was just like, hey, are you being paid to post this? And he's like, I wish. And I was like, it's weird because everyone seems to have the exact same like
post
about this.
But
like,
every
it's weird.
Every comment on every post was like shitting on it. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, it was stupid expensive.
It's a really dumb like.
So Rob said him and his wife got tickets for $250
For what?
Knicks playoffs.
But you could already buy playoff tickets?
No. Last time they made the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's about what I thought.
$250 each.
Yeah, so the seats we were sitting in last time, but for 2.5 times as much.
I think if it's $250 each, I'm gonna go. I think I'm in. Jay, you want to go? You want to go?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the Knicks. Like this is such a fun season. I don't know. I just want to be there for the playoffs.
Just because I've never, yeah, MSG during the playoffs is probably just an otherworldly experience.
Yeah, I think I told Zach that I told my son that if it's on a non-school night, I will take you. I just know Liz will not be a fan of like if it's a Tuesday night, she's gonna say, I don't give a shit about the playoffs. See a school, and I'll be like, fuck, fine.
Yeah, Rob said like last row in the house was 250.
Jesus.
So where we were was probably like 300. I mean, we were still pretty high up, right?
It just would be really. I know. I feel like this team is going to be good, and they'll make the playoffs in the future. But fuck it, I gotta go. I like. It's like I can only go to one game, like because I can't afford to do that twice in the playoffs. But first round, you gotta just go to a first round game.
Yeah.
And then if they make the finals, I'll figure out how to pay for the finals.
Sell your crypto.
I will that cover one of the seats for the finals?
It's true.
Yeah. I think if the Knicks make the finals, I'll sell my crypto to go to the game.
There you go.
Yeah. Why the fuck not?
Right.
Game 7. Let's say Game 7. Okay, let's say the Knicks aren't going to have a Game 7 at home. Let's say it's Game 6. Knicks are up 3-2. The finals. How much would you pay to go to the game?
Knicks are up 3-2.
Knicks are up 3-2. Well, there's not going to be a Game 7 at home. So, okay, it's Game 7 at home. Fine, whatever. It's a hypothetical. Let's say it's Game 7 at home. Knicks are. It's 3-3, obviously. Finals. Knicks are in it. The Knicks may never go to the finals again in your lifetime.
I know.
How much would you pay for a ticket?
600. I don't know if I could justify more than that for one game.
Yeah, I think I'd pay 600 or whatever the fuck. Why can't the fucking thing be like more reasonable in price?
I know.
It's so fucking absurd.
It is.
It's also like you're like I guess I'll pay 600, and then people are like, well, I make a lot more money. I'll pay $1,000. I'll pay 2,000, and that's how because we live in New York, fucking New York.
You know, if you buy the 500 tickets and put it on StubHub, it's instantly like triple your money.
If you buy tickets for 500 and
then
you're saying you could sell it so fast.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's how I'm sure there are a lot of people who because the team's not selling them for 500. Whatever the teams are selling it for, you're getting that, and you put it on StubHub, you can make a ton of money if you can buy it directly from the team.
Yeah.
Because then you also I think you can pay like $300 to the team or $250 to the team and get like okay seats for it'd still be nosebleed, but like. Man, I can't wait for the playoffs. At least we're not even going to be in a playing game like this. Like they're going to be in the regular first round.
Yeah.
Now that I've jinxed them.
All right, I'm gonna get going. Are we working on the game Thursday?
I'm going to Vail, Colorado on Thursday. I can work on the game. Zach's basketball season's over also. So I could have if I wasn't going to Colorado. I can work on the game now if you want, or when else do you want to work on the game? Or I can work on it tomorrow night after the kids go to bed.
Right. Let's play it by ear. I'll shoot you a message tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for. Mark's really helpful with this game. He's never available, never wants to work on it. Thank you, Mark.
I can do it during Jay's bedtime.
How's your sleep?
It's all right. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
It's a huge improvement for you.
That's a huge improvement. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you change? You gotta like find a new pillow?
I tightened the mask. I think I was having a tiny bit of leak where I didn't notice, but it was like triggering the apnea. So just tightening the mask like solved like everything.
Oh, do you have like a printout every night of like this like your stats from sleeping?
Yeah, I don't trust it at all. Every night it's like mask didn't leak, you had no apnea, everything's perfect. And I'm like,
Oh,
I felt like I slept.
I
like
was
an
wondering
hour.
if you could look at the stats and be like, oh, I see. You could adjust it based on the stats, but
Well, it's because I have like the onset apnea, and from what I read, it doesn't count any apneas until you actually fall asleep. And I'm like, well, for my kind of apnea, that means I'll just never have an apnea.
so you don't. So an apnea event is when you stop breathing,
Mhm.
and you only have stop breathing events before you fall asleep.
At that exact moment where you go from awake to asleep.
So
It's called
once
an
you're
onset.
asleep, you're asleep.
Pretty much. I'll have, if I don't wear the mask and I somehow fall asleep, I might have a few, but like at the very, very, very low end, like where it's not like even really an issue.
Okay. So your issue when you were not sleeping well was you couldn't fall asleep or you were waking up?
When I first got it, it was when I was waking up, because I had like inflammation in my tonsils and stuff.
No. I mean recently. You said you were sleeping shitty. Like,
Oh yeah. I just wasn't falling asleep. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I still can't believe you have a condition where your brain wants to murder you instead of going to sleep.
I'm still convinced it was a really strong pot brownie I ate. No, because like
I'm just picturing the greatest. I'm picturing the greatest "Just Say No to Drugs" commercial ever.
10 years ago,
Weed. You think weed does nothing? I took weed and now I can't sleep. I can't fucking fall asleep without this machine in my face.
it's
Do you
10,
want this, kids?
10 years ago, I had a really strong brownie, and
I know you've told the story.
yeah, I
before.
spent the whole night like forgetting how to breathe and like hyperventilating, like, and I think that like rewired my brain somehow.
Honestly, if you spoke to my elementary school, I never would have touched drugs. I don't think I don't think there's a better like that would be good enough. If you went back in time 20 years ago and told yourself this, would you ever do drugs again?
I would just stay away from the brownies. I probably would have done everything else.
Okay.
I would have just been like, in 2009, don't eat that brownie. You're good to go with everything else. The shrooms, the E, it's all good. Yeah, in elementary school, they like the Just Say No club, and they're like, yeah, don't do drugs. I'm like, I'm 8. I don't even know what a drug is. Like, I just came here because you give me cookies and the high C. Like, they don't even tell you what a drug is. It's like an hour of like, kids don't do drugs. I'm like, cool. Can I have my cookie now?
I've always said the dare thing, like they both did dare. And like they were like, when you get to high school or college, whatever, people are going to be giving you drugs for free. That's bullshit. Everyone's making me like I have to pay for it. No one's giving it away for free.
I know they make it seem like at every Halloween they're like, yeah, they're putting drugs in the candy. I'm like, no, they want to make money. They're not going to give drugs for free to hundreds of kids. Like, that's just not.
Yeah, no one's trying to force the drugs on. I have to ask to have a hit.
They're a drug dealer. They're not a drug giver. Like,
Yeah,
it's a profitable
like
business.
the whole idea that like people just get, yeah, like it was then it was like they'll give it to you the first time, then they're gonna charge you the second time. I'm like, I don't know, like everyone charges me for stuff. That's just capitalism, dude.
Because you're instantly addicted.
It is like the worst commercial because it's the worst way of like they make you think in like Dare program that if you touch drugs, your entire life will end, and then you're like, then the first time you smoke, you're like, oh, nothing changed. Oh well, I guess they were completely wrong. Let me just do a lot of drugs.
This Santana album sounds a little bit better. That's pretty much the only side effect.
I get Pink Floyd.
I synced up Wizard of Oz and Pink Floyd. Now I'm homeless.
You're like, Dare, my buddy who smoked a lot in pot, he's an engineer making a lot of money right now.
Still smokes pot.
Fuck you.
He actually smokes pot during his lunch break while he's working.
He seems totally fine, actually.
All right.
Okay.
That was an after show. Hope you enjoyed that, folks.
So we'll do Brink when I get back, maybe. But as far as the game, if you want to do it tomorrow night, I can do it, or next Monday night. I go Thursday to come back Sunday night.
Awesome.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
And if you're in the chat and you're not familiar with our comedy podcast, The Brink of Sanity, the last 15 minutes is pretty much what the Brink of Sanity podcast is.
If you're not familiar with our Brink of Sanity podcast, you're like everyone else in the world.
Yeah. You're like everyone other than Andrew, Anthony, and Lorenzo.
Thank you guys. And when the Knicks season, we'll do more Brink in the summer because, yeah, the Knicks are so much fun.